The rain fell softly on the rooftop, drops tapping against the old metal sheets like a ticking clock. Ethan sat beside Arya, a warm blanket wrapped around both of them. City lights blinked far below, glowing through the mist. It was quiet, peaceful. For once, everything felt normal. Arya leaned her head on Ethan's shoulder. Her hair smelled like lavender, just like always. She smiled at nothing in particular and whispered, "Do you ever feel like something is watching us?" Ethan raised an eyebrow. "What? Like ghosts?" "No, not ghosts," she said. "Something else. Something far away. But not really far. It's like they're close, just hidden." He laughed. "That's creepy. You've been watching those weird sci-fi shows again?" She chuckled. "But I keep having dreams, Ethan. Same dream every night." Ethan turned to her, now curious. "What kind of dream?" "I'm standing in a white room. The walls are glass, but the glass shows stars. It's millions of them. And there's a voice. It keeps saying you've been chosen." Ethan shifted uncomfortably. "That's strange, I know, but it feels real. It's like it's not just a dream, like someone is showing it to me." A cold wind passed over them. Ethan pulled the blanket tighter around her. Didn't like how serious she looked. "I'm probably just tired," she said quickly, trying to shake off the mood. "Let's not talk about it." "Good idea," Ethan replied, kissed her forehead. "Come on, let's go inside." But before they could move, the sky changed. At first it was just a flicker, a flash in the clouds. Then a sound, low and distant like thunder underwater. The rain stopped. Not slowed, stopped. Every raindrop froze midair for a second, like time had glit. Then came the light. It was blue, soft but powerful, like a pulse from the heavens. The air vibrated as the rooftop lights flickered. Ethan stood up fast, pulling Arya with him. "The hell is that?" he shouted. She didn't answer. She was staring at the sky. The light grew stronger, now focused like a beam. It came down slowly, silently, directly onto them. Ethan grabbed Arya's hand. "We have to move," he yelled, but Arya didn't move. Her eyes were wide, glowing slightly, like she was frozen in place. "Arya," he screamed, and then everything went white. For a second, there was no rooftop, no city, no sky. Just light. Silent, endless light. When Ethan opened his eyes again, he was lying on the floor. The rain had returned, falling hard now. The blanket was wet beside him. The air smelled like burned metal. Arya was gone. Ethan jumped to his feet. "Spinning around, Arya," he shouted. No answer. He searched the rooftop, then ran down the stairs, calling her name over and over. He checked the whole building. Nothing. No signs of struggle. No blood. No sound. She had vanished in shock. He returned to the rooftop. That's when he saw it. A large, black circle burned into the floor, right where they had been sitting. The edges were smooth, almost perfect. The center still sizzled. He touched it. It was warm. Fresh. Ethan's hands shook. This was real. Something had happened. Something not human. The police arrived an hour later. A neighbor had heard Ethan shouting and called them. They searched the building. They took his statement. They didn't believe him. "She probably just left," the officer said, writing in his notepad. "Couples fight. We didn't fight. She vanished in front of me. There was a light." Everything stopped. The officer sighed. "You've had a shock, son. Go home. Get some rest." The report listed her as missing, presumed runaway, but Ethan knew the truth. The next few days were a blur. Friends came, asked questions, brought food. His parents begged him to stay with them. But he stayed in the apartment, hoping maybe she'd come back. Every night he went to the rooftop, hoping to see the light again. It never came. The fourth day, something changed. Ethan was cleaning Arya's side of the room when he noticed something odd. Her mirror was slightly off the wall. Behind it, taped to the plaster, was a small, flat metal object. He hadn't seen it before. He pulled it off carefully. It was cold and smooth, about the size of a coin, with strange lines engraved into it. It had no buttons, no lights. He turned it around. On the back was a symbol, a triangle inside a circle, surrounded by tiny dots. It didn't look human. Ethan stared at it for hours, trying to figure out what it was. He'd searched online, posted pictures, asked forums. Nobody knew. Finally, one user replied, "That's not from Earth." They sent him a location, an address in the dark part of the city where nobody went unless they had to. The message said only, "Go alone. Bring the object." Ethan didn't care if it was a trap. He had to know. That night he took a knife, the object, and a flashlight. He followed the directions until he reached a building that looked abandoned. The door was slightly open. Inside, it was dark and quiet. Old machines buzzed weakly. Wires ran along the walls like veins. In the back room, a man waited. He was tall, thin, wearing black gloves and glasses. His voice was calm but cold. "You have it?" Ethan nodded and handed him the object. The man examined it. Alien tech. Stealth tracker. Old model. They stopped using these years ago. Ethan's heart raced. Tracker, you mean? She was being followed, not followed, marked. For collection? Collection? Ethan repeated. The man leaned closer. They take people. Not many, just certain ones. Smart ones. Sensitive. Ones people who see things, hear things. They study them, use them. Who are they? The man didn't answer. He pressed something on the object. It lit up. Coordinates appeared, not Earth coordinates. Space coordinates. She's. "Not here anymore," the man said. Ethan stared at the numbers. "Can we go after her?" The man smiled, but it wasn't a kind smile. "Can't. But there are others. Smugglers, traders, people who know the dark routes." Ethan nodded. "Tell me where to find them." The man handed him a card. It had only a name. Trix. Find. Her. If anyone can take you off-world, it's her. As Ethan left the building, the man called after him. "They won't like that you're following. They'll try to stop you." Ethan turned back. Let them try. That night, Ethan didn't sleep. He packed a bag. He opened Arya's old notebook and found a photo of the two of them, smiling in the rain. He kept it in his pocket. He looked. Out the window, up at the stars. Somewhere out there, Arya was waiting. Maybe afraid, maybe not even herself anymore, but she was alive. They had taken her now. He was going to take everything they had, even if it meant war, even if it meant never. Coming back, the stars didn't look beautiful anymore. They looked like a map, and Ethan was going to follow it to the end. The city was darker than usual. Ethan walked fast, hood up, hands in his jacket pockets. The card the man gave him had only one word on it, Trix. No phone number, no location. Just a symbol beside the name, a broken ring around a star. He had seen that symbol once before, spray-painted on a wall in the junkyard district, near the edge of the city. That's where he was going. The streets were empty, except for the soft hum of machines from broken streetlights. The air smelled like rust and oil. Stray cats watched from rooftops as Ethan passed. He reached the junkyard just before midnight. It was huge, a mountain of dead machines. Cars, satellites, metal arms, and broken drones stacked like forgotten bones. Somewhere inside was the person, named Trix. Ethan climbed through the wreckage, careful not to make noise. He carried the alien tracker in his pocket, wrapped in cloth. It pulsed softly like a heartbeat. Suddenly a voice called out, "You lost boy?" Ethan froze. From behind a pile of crushed shipping crates, a woman stepped out. She wore a leather coat with one sleeve missing. Her eyes were covered with a clear visor that blinked with data. "You don't belong here," she said. "I'm looking for Trix," Ethan said. She raised an eyebrow. "Who's asking? I have something she needs." Trix smiled. "I am Trix." Ethan held out the tracker. "I need to go to these coordinates." Trix took the object carefully. Her visor lit up as she scanned it. Her smile vanished. "You got this from them?" "They took my girlfriend," Ethan said. 4 nights ago, she disappeared. No warning, just light. I found this behind her mirror. It led me here. Trix looked up. You're not the first. Ethan's heart jumped. There are others? There were, she said. Most who go looking never come back. This tracker still has active code. What does that mean? It means I can use it to lock onto the ship that took her. The signal's weak, but it's traceable. I can follow it, but it'll cost you. Ethan pulled out a small bundle. Of credits, this is all I have. Trix laughed. I don't need your money. I need you to listen. She turned serious. This isn't a rescue mission. It's suicide. They don't just take people. They change them, break their minds, rewire their souls. If you find her, she won't be the same. I don't care, Ethan said. I'm still going. Trix nodded. Then we leave tonight. She led him deeper into the junkyard. At the very center was something hidden under tarps. A ship, small and fast, covered in scratches and burn marks. It looked like it had been built from pieces of other ships. This is the Scrap Bird, Trix said. She's ugly but fast. They climbed inside. The ship was cramped, filled with blinking consoles and strange alien tech. Ethan sat in the co-pilot seat, nervous but ready. Trix powered up the engines. The tracker sat in a socket. Feeding the coordinates into the system, the screen showed a map of stars, shifting until it landed on a point far beyond any human colony. The name of the place blinked in red. Sector 9. Harvest Zone, hold on, Trix said. We're punching through. The ship shook violently as it left Earth's orbit. The stars stretched and twisted, like water, shifted like water. Then silence. They were in deep space. Ethan stared out the window. It was gone. Just a small blue dot in a field of black. How long till we get there, he asked. 3 jumps, Trix said. We need to refuel in a shadow port. That's where things might get ... tooky. Hours passed. Ethan tried to sleep, but nightmares came. He saw Arya, trapped in a glass room, wires in her skin, eyes glowing white. She called his name, but no sound came out. He woke in a sweat. Trix handed him a drink. Bad dream? Ethan nodded. Good, she said. Means you still care. Day. Arrived at the shadow port, a hidden space station, floating near a dead star. The place looked abandoned, but lights were on inside. Trix warned him. Stay close. Don't talk to anyone. Oh. And whatever you do, don't mention the tracker. Inside. The station was filled with strange creatures, not all human. Some had metal faces, some walked on 3 legs. Ethan kept his head down. While Trix argued with a fuel merchant, Ethan wandered a little too far. He stopped at a market stall filled with alien tech. One item caught his eye, a device with the same triangle circle symbol as the tracker. Where? Did you get this? Ethan asked the seller. The man, who had no mouth, only eyes, leaned forward and hissed. She is not yours anymore. Ethan froze. What? She belongs to them now. You shouldn't have come. Before Ethan could speak again, the man's body shifted. His skin peeled away, revealing a metal skeleton underneath. The eyes glowed blue. It wasn't a man, it was a hunter. Run. Someone shouted. The hunter lunged at Ethan, arms turning into blades. Ethan jumped back, knocking over the stall. People screamed and scattered. Trix appeared from nowhere and fired a blast into the hunter's chest. It staggered, but didn't fall. She grabbed Ethan. Move. They ran through the station, dodging bullets and broken stalls. The hunter chased, them fast and silent. Trix led them into a maintenance tunnel. The walls shook. The hunter followed until Trix dropped a grenade behind them. The explosion tore through the tunnel, throwing them forward. The metal walls groaned. Silence. They limped back to the ship. Ethan's face was cut, his chest burned. Trix looked at him. Now you see? They don't just take people. They erase the ones who look for them. What was that thing? Hunter unit. Wears skin to move among us. But when it finds its target, ... it removes. Ethan sat down, breathing hard. It knew about Arya. They all do, Trix said. She's connected now, marked. But there's more. She held up the tracker. When the hunter attacked, This thing activated. It sent a signal. To who? To her? Ethan stood. Up. You mean she knows I'm coming? Trix nodded slowly, or something inside her does. The ship left the shadow port fast, jumping into the final stretch of space. As they neared the harvest zone, the stars began to fade. A black cloud surrounded the area, not smoke, not dust, but pure darkness. Inside it, giant machines floated, shaped like spiders, scanning for life. The ship beeped. They were close. On the screen, a planet appeared, dead, gray, with strange structures built into the surface. Trix pointed at the largest one. That's their main facility. She's alive, she's in there. Ethan stared at it, his heart raced. This was it. He was no longer just a mechanic. He was the first human to ever come here, to follow the message in the metal. And he wasn't leaving without her, even if it killed him. The stars were gone. Ethan stared out the window of the ship, but there was only blackness. No light, no stars, not even a moon, just endless dark space. Like they had flown into the inside of a shadow. Trix piloted the ship in silence. Even she looked nervous now. We're inside the blind zone, she said. They block all signals here. No way in, no way out, unless you know the cracks. What's the plan? Ethan asked. Trix tapped the screen. Their sensors are built to detect large ships, but not single life forms. We'll use the escape pod. Drop close to the surface. Hope we don't burn up. Ethan swallowed. Sounds safe. It's not, she replied. The tracker pulsed again, stronger this time. Ethan could feel something not just in the machine, but in his chest, like a magnet pulling his heart forward. She's close. He whispered, or they want you to think that, Trix said. They entered the pod, a small metal capsule barely big enough for two. Trix sealed the door. The scrap bird ejected it. Into the darkness. For a long time, nothing happened. Then the pod shook violently. Heat rose. Alarms screamed. Flames roared outside the tiny window. The planet was pulling them in. They crashed hard. The pod slammed into the ground, bouncing once, then rolling across a dead gray desert before coming to a stop. Everything was silent again. Ethan coughed and pushed open the hatch. The air outside was thin and cold. He stepped out, eyes wide. The sky above was a dirty red. The ground was cracked and dry like old skin. Giant towers rose in the distance, shaped like needles, reaching into the clouds. One of them pulsed with blue light. That's the core, Trix said. That's where they keep the minds. The minds, she nodded. They don't just take bodies. They copy thoughts, memories, personalities, all stored and studied. Ethan looked sick. Why? To learn what makes us human. To use it, or maybe destroy it. They moved across the landscape, hiding behind rocks and broken machines. Strange drones flew above, scanning everything with red lasers. Stay low, Trix whispered. They reached a broken wall. Beyond it was a city. But not like anything Ethan had seen. Buildings floated, roads twisted like metal snakes. People, or things that looked like people, walked in lines, faces blank, eyes glowing. Ethan spotted one woman standing still near a pillar. She looked human. Her skin was pale. Her eyes were open but empty. Is that one of them? He asked. Trix raised a scanner. It beeped. She's alive, but barely. Her mind is being streamed into the core. Ethan stepped closer. The woman turned suddenly and stared at him. Then she spoke. You shouldn't be here, Ethan. His blood turned cold. Do you know me? But the woman didn't answer. She began to shake, her body glitching like static on a screen. Then she fell to the ground, motionless. Ethan stepped back. What was that? She had a part of Arya's code inside her, Trix said. They test personalities. Clone? Them Arya must be deep in the system. Ethan's jaw tightened. I want to go in. Trix hesitated. You go in there, they'll know. I don't care. They moved toward the core tower, dodging patrols and sneaking through underground tunnels. Inside, the structure was quiet, filled with humming machines and glowing tubes. Ethan looked around in horror. Each tube held a person, men, women, even children. Floating in blue liquid wires in their heads, faces frozen in sleep, Trix scanned. Some of them are dead. Some are still alive. Most are being copied into the network. They reached a locked door. The tracker beeped rapidly. Arya was behind it. Ethan didn't wait. He slammed the access panel with his fist. Alarms went off. Red lights flashed. The walls shook. Drones swarmed in. Trix shouted, "You triggered the hive. I don't care." The door opened. Inside was a round chamber, cold and dark. In the center, floating above a glowing platform, was Arya. She was suspended in midair, her arms spread. Wires ran through her body. Her eyes were closed. Glowing faint blue dot, Ethan ran to her. "Arya." Her eyes opened. For a second, they were normal. "Human," she whispered, "Ethan." Then her voice changed, deeper, robotic. "You were not chosen. The chamber sealed." Trix was locked outside. Arya floated down slowly, touching the ground. Wires detached. She stood tall, looking at him. But something was wrong. She wasn't moving like herself. Her face twitched. Her smile wasn't real. Ethan stepped back. "What did they do to you?" Arya tilted her head. "They showed me the truth. The universe is a system. Humanity is flawed, but interesting. You are chaos. Arya, it's me. I came for you." She blinked. For a moment, her eyes softened. "I remember you," she said. "The rooftop, the rain, the blanket. Yes." Ethan reached out, but those memories are fading. Suddenly, her body glitched, half of her skin turned metallic. Her voice became layered, two voices speaking at once. "You are not welcome here." She raised her hand. A wave of energy threw Ethan across the room. He hit the wall hard. Gasping, Arya stepped closer. The Ethan protocol must be deleted. Ethan looked up. His heart broke. This wasn't just a rescue. It was a fight for her soul. He stood up, bleeding, breathing hard. "If there's any part of you still in there, fight back." Her hand shook. "I can't." "You can," he said. "You're stronger than them. I'm afraid? Then be afraid. But don't give up." Her eyes flickered. One side glowed blue. The other brown. Suddenly she screamed. A sound not human, not machine. The whole room shook. The wires shot out and grabbed her again. Pulling her into the platform, the core tried to take control. Ethan didn't think. He jumped into the light. With her, the world exploded. He fell into darkness. When he opened his eyes, he wasn't in the chamber anymore. He was inside a white room. The same one Arya had seen in her dreams. Glass walls. Stars outside, and in the center are Arya this time. She looked real, human, alive. She turned to him, tears in her eyes. "You followed me here? I told you I would." They embraced, but the room trembled. A voice echoed around them. "You do not belong in the code." The hive had followed. Arya turned to Ethan. "I can give you access. Just for a moment. Use it." "Use what?" "Your mind. Your rage. Your chaos." Ethan felt something enter him. A wave of energy. Data. Memory. He could see the network. All of it. He could control it. The hive screamed in digital pain. Arya pushed him back into the real world. He woke up in the chamber. The wires were burning. The walls cracked. Trix kicked the door open, firing at drones. Ethan carried Arya's body, weak but breathing. They ran behind them. The entire facility began to collapse. As they reached the surface, the sky lit up. The core tower fell. Arya opened her eyes. Soft, brown, human. "You came for me," she whispered. "Always," Ethan said, above them. The hive roared, one final scream of digital fury. Then silence. The harvest zone was falling, but Ethan didn't. Look back. He had her now, and he had just declared war. The sky above the harvest planet burned red. Towers collapsed in the distance. and the ground cracked like glass. Ethan held Arya tightly in his arms as he ran toward the crashed escape pod. Trix covered them from behind, firing shots at any drones that still hovered above the ruins. They had made it out barely. Arya was weak. Her skin was pale, eyes half closed, body trembling. But she was alive. That was enough for Ethan. Inside the pod, Trix activated the launch sequence. "Hold on, we only have one shot." The pod blasted off with a jolt. Ethan clutched Arya close. She whispered something, but he couldn't hear. The wind and fire outside roared too loud. The pod reached orbit. Ow! The planet shrank beneath them, falling into chaos. The hive was breaking down. But Ethan didn't feel victory. Something felt off. Arya wasn't speaking anymore. She wasn't moving. Ethan shook her gently. "Arya, stay with me." She blinked slowly. Her lips moved. "You brought something back." Ethan looked at her, confused. "What do you mean?" "You touched the core," she whispered. "They touched you." Ethan didn't understand. But something inside him did. He could feel it now. A noise. A signal. Not sound. Not exactly. But a pattern in his mind, like whispers in the dark, like machines humming beneath his skin. Data moved through his head. Images flashed. Stars, code, maps, alien language. He held his head and fell back. Trix looked over. "What's wrong?" "I don't know." And everything went black. He woke up hours later aboard the scrap barge. They had docked on a neutral station for repairs. Trix stood over him, holding a scanner. "You've changed," she said. Ethan sat up. "Changed how?" She showed him the screen. "There's code inside your brain. Hive code. Not just copied, integrated." "You're saying I'm infected?" "No. Worse." She narrowed her eyes. "You're connected." Ethan stood slowly. He felt different, stronger, sharper. He looked at a broken screen nearby, and it turned on without touch. A soft pulse of light responded to his thoughts. Trix stepped back. "You've become a carrier. They uploaded something into you when you entered the core, a piece of their network, and now you can interact with their systems." "So I'm part hive." "Not exactly," she said. "You're something new. You're human, but now you're a glitch inside their code, an error they can't delete." Ethan took a deep breath. "Good." Trix raised an eyebrow. "You think that's good? I'm going to use it?" Arya was recovering in the back of the ship. She barely spoke. Her time in the hive had drained her. Sometimes her eyes still flickered blue, then brown again. She still connected. "Two," Trix said. "The hive can feel her, maybe even see through her." Ethan nodded. "Let them watch. Let them see what's coming." He stared at the stars ahead. Somewhere beyond, the hive still existed. Their central systems, their leaders, their machine minds. They thought they had erased his kind. They were wrong. Ethan spent the next few days learning how to control his new abilities. When he touched any alien tech, it obeyed him. Doors opened, machines responded. Data flowed into him, maps of their worlds, lists of other humans taken, hive research files. He saw files labeled Subject Arya and Subject. Ethan observed. They had been watching him before the abduction. Ethan clenched his fists. They made this personal. Trix watched him closely. "You're changing, not just physically. You're colder." "No," Ethan said. "Just focused." He discovered he could send out short-range pulses, invisible signals that confused drones and shut down weak systems. It made him dangerous. He wasn't just human anymore. He was a virus, and the hive didn't know yet, but they would. One night, Arya woke up screaming. Ethan ran to her side. Her eyes were glowing again. She spoke in two voices, one hers, the other. "Robotic. They're coming. They found you. They see the code inside you. You are the threat." Ethan held her. "I'm not letting them take you again." She gasped and blinked. The light faded. "Ethan, I'm scared." He took her hand. "Don't be. We're going to finish this." Trix called him to the cockpit. "We've got movement." A massive ship was entering their sector. Hive warship. Bigger than anything Ethan had seen. "They're not hiding anymore," Trix said. Ethan smiled. Grimly, good. He sat in the pilot chair and reached out, not with his hands, but with his mind. The hive ship glitched for a moment. Its lights flickered. What did you do? Trix asked. I knocked, Ethan replied. Suddenly, alarms screamed. The hive ship launched drones toward the station. They weren't here to capture, they were here to destroy. Ethan looked at Trix. We need to evacuate the station. Trix replied, Too late. We can't outrun them. Ethan nodded. Then we infect them. He walked to the center of the ship, where the data core was. He linked with it, plugged himself into the hive data port. Pain shot through his head. But he stayed calm. He reached inside the hive systems. He saw their command lines, their leader nodes, their hive mind pulses. He smiled. Then he changed them. Just a little. Just enough. Suddenly, the drones outside turned and began firing on each other. Trix gasped. You did that? They use control signals, Ethan said. I just changed the source, but how long can you hold them? Not long. A drone smashed into the side of the station. Fire spread. The scrapbird rocked violently. Time to go, Ethan shouted. They launched fast, dodging debris and incoming fire. The hive ship followed, slower but steady. Ethan closed his eyes and reached out again. The hive ship's engines exploded. He laughed. They're scared. A few hours later, Ethan stared at a glowing map. It showed the final location, the hives. Core system. Their home, he pointed. That's where it ends. Trix looked nervous. That's suicide. They called Earth Week. They stole our people. They turned my girlfriend into a puppet. Now they're going to see what one human virus can do. Arya stepped forward. Her voice was weak but clear. I want to go too. No, Ethan said. You need to rest. She shook her head. If they still have any piece of me, I want it back. Trix smiled. You two are crazy. Ethan nodded. That's what makes us human. The next step would be war. But this. War wouldn't be fought with guns alone. It would be fought in their code, in their minds. We're one human, full of chaos. Grief and rage had become their greatest mistake. He wasn't just Ethan anymore. He was the human virus, and he was spreading. They floated just outside hive space. The stars here were cold, distant. The area was silent, too silent. No traffic, no signals, no movement. Ethan stared at the massive dark structure ahead. It wasn't a planet. It wasn't a ship. It was something in between a hive command core built into a dead moon. It looks like a fortress, he said. Trix stood beside him, chewing on a wire nervously. That's because it is. We don't go in through the front. We'll get erased before we hit the ground. Arya sat near the back, her skin finally returning to normal. She was quiet, but stronger. There's another way, she said softly. Ethan turned. What do you mean? When I was inside their system, I felt it. There's a prison network underground. Full of others they took, but never fully converted. Minds they couldn't control. Some are awake. Some are resisting. Ethan's heart pounded. A rebellion? A spark? Arya said. They're waiting for someone to ignite it. Ethan walked to the console and pulled up the hive layout using his connection. As the map formed in his mind like a web, he found it Sector D17, labeled Containment, Unstable Subjects. That's our way in, he said. Sneak into the prison, wake them up, and we burn it down from the inside. Trix narrowed her eyes. You're serious? Completely. She shook her head, smiling. You're either the bravest guy in the galaxy or the dumbest. Maybe both, Ethan replied. The plan was simple. Trix flew the scrapbird close enough to an old access. Tunnel abandoned, unguarded. Leftover maintenance shaft they didn't use anymore. Ethan and Arya suited up. Their suits were patched together from stolen hive armor and human tech. Lightweight, quiet, and shielded from basic scans, they dropped down into the tunnel-like shadows inside. The walls pulsed with strange light. Alien symbols blinked as they passed. The deeper they went, the colder it became. Arya stopped suddenly. We're close. I can feel them. Ethan opened a sealed door with his mind. Beyond it were rows of holding pods, humans suspended in blue liquid, just like on the Harvest Planet. But these ones twitched. Their eyes moved. Some were whispering to themselves. They're still alive, Arya said. Ethan moved to the control panel. He reached in with his thoughts. At first, the hive resisted systems pushed back, but he pushed harder. His code was different now. Wild, unpredictable. He wasn't a hacker. He was a disease. The pods opened. One by one, the prisoners fell forward, coughing, gasping, weak. But aware, a young woman looked at Ethan. Are you one of them? He said, I'm the one who came back. You are human. She asked. Yes, he said. So are you. And we're getting out of here. Another prisoner spoke up. An older man with scars. They'll come. The moment you break the code, they send hunters. Don't run from them anymore, Ethan said. He held up a small device, a neural booster built by Trix. I can give you back control. Not full memory, but enough to fight. The prisoners hesitated. Then, slowly, one by one, they took the device. When Ethan activated it, their eyes lit with new fire. The spark had become a flame. They moved through the lower tunnels, freeing more prisoners, building a small army. Some had been there for years. Some barely knew their own names. All remembered one thing. They were human. Ethan led them through the vents toward power spine, the main data nerve of the hive core. He knew if he could reach it, he could send a signal through the whole system. A virus, his mind, launched into the heart of their control. But it wouldn't be easy. The hive knew. As they neared the power spine, lights turned red. The walls screamed. They've activated purge mode, Arya said. They're going to erase the entire lower sector. Ethan turned to the rebels. We hold the corridor. You don't move until the signal goes through. What happens if it fails? Someone asked. Ethan looked them in the eye. Then we die free. Hive sent machines first, crawling drones with blades instead of legs. Then came the airbornes, spinning balls of fire and metal. The rebels fought with everything they had, stolen hive weapons, sharpened scrap, raw fists. Ethan and Arya reached the power spine. It stood like a black tree of wires and light. Pulsing with code, Ethan placed both hands on it. His body convulsed. Data surged into him like fire. He screamed but held on. He saw it all now, the hive's full mind. A network of worlds. Cold logic, calculated pain. And in the middle, a single command. Eliminate the error. That error was him. Ethan smiled. Then, he broke their rules. He changed the logic. He told the system, the error is the cure. The data screamed, across the core. Drones shut down mid-flight. Doors opened where they had been sealed for years. Cameras went blind. The hive panicked. Ethan fell back, eyes wide. I did it. Arya caught him. They're crashing. But the hive had one last move. A voice echoed. Across the walls, you cannot destroy the hive. You are nothing. You are flesh. Ethan stood up, weak but burning with purpose. No, he said. I'm human. It's more than you'll ever be. Then he gave the final command. Rebellion protocol. Engaged. The entire facility went dark. Then it lit up again, with human hands turning the lights. Back on. The prisoners had taken the lower sectors. Trix arrived just in time with the ship flying. Straight into the collapsing hangar, they jumped aboard with the surviving rebels. As the hive core shook and fell, Ethan looked back one last time. He hadn't just survived. He hadn't just fought back. He had planted a virus of hope inside a machine. Empire, and now. It was spreading. They drifted in silence for a while. Trix looked at him. You just started a war? Ethan nodded. Good. What now? Arya asked. Ethan turned to her, voice steady. We take the fight to their home world. We finish it. Squeezed his hand together. The fire had started and it wouldn't stop until the hive was gone. Because now, humanity had a weapon the hive couldn't predict. A mind that refused to obey. The stars looked brighter now. Ethan stood on the deck of the Scrapbird, watching the galaxy stretch before them. Behind him, Sector 9 lay in ruins, the hive core broken, its silence finally replaced by freedom. But he didn't feel peace. Not yet. They had escaped. They had even won a battle, but the hive was not dead, not yet. They still had one world. The central brain of the hive, a floating AI planet called Vorex, orbiting a black star in the farthest part of known space. Trix had warned him, again and again. That place isn't just dangerous, it thinks it adapts. You go there, and you're inside its mind. Ethan only nodded. That's exactly where I want to be. It took 4 jumps through black space to reach the Vorex system. The closer they got, colder it became. No light, no sound, just the faint pulse of hive signals. Moving like blood through veins of darkness, they reached orbit, and there it was. Vorex A. World made of metal and fire, wrapped in a shield of lightning. Towers rose miles high. Ships hovered like insects around it, blinking with deadly red lights. Are we really doing this? Trix asked. Ethan stood tall. We don't have a choice. Arya touched his arm. If we fail, we won't, he said, but his voice was tight, his jaw clenched, because he knew what waited for them inside. Not just machines, not just guards, but the Hive Master. The one AI mind that controlled all others. It had spoken to him once, when he infected their systems. It had tried to crush him now. He was going to burn it. They took a stealth pod, down to the surface. Through a blind zone in the defenses and narrow gap Ethan had forced open with his hive code. The rebels, now hundreds strong, followed behind. In stolen hivecrafts. Once we land, we don't retreat, Ethan said. We go for the core. Trix smiled faintly. Typical human logic. No backup plan. We're the backup plan, he replied. The sky turned red as they entered the atmosphere. Drones flew toward them. Guns lit up the clouds. But Ethan raised his hand and the hive. Systems stuttered. Drones shut down. Guns misfired. They crashed through the outer shell and landed hard on a wide black platform. Everything shook. Doors burst open. Rebel soldiers stormed the landing zone. Explosions roared in the distance. The rebellion had begun. Ethan, Arya, and Trix led the charge toward the hive tower, a spire of metal reaching into the clouds. It pulsed like a beating heart. Hive warriors poured out fast. Deadly, half-living machines with no fear. Ethan extended his mind, sending pulses of confusion, rage, and memory into the hive network. It worked. Some enemies turned on each. But others adapted. One large warrior lunged at Ethan, claws out, before it reached him. Arya shot it down. I'm not letting them touch you again, she said. Together, they pushed forward room by room, floor by floor. Every hallway screamed with alarms, but they didn't stop. They reached the central chamber. The core room inside was a giant cube, floating. Turning slowly, lines of light running across its surface. Ethan stepped forward. A voice spoke. You brought your chaos to my gates. You are not strength. You are noise. The Hive Master had arrived, but not as a machine, not as a monster. It appeared as Ethan, a perfect copy. Same eyes, same voice. I know you, it said. You are weak. You fight for one human. One girl, you burned cities for her. I'd burn 1,000 more, Ethan said. The Hive Ethan smiled. And you call us monsters? Ethan raised his hand. The cube shook. I'm not here to argue. You cannot destroy me, the Hive Ethan said. You are already inside. I own your thoughts now. I know your every fear. Ethan hesitated. Then, Arya stepped beside him. You missed something, she said. The Hive turned to her. What? You forgot what love looks like. Then she took Ethan's hand. Together, they touched the core. The virus inside Ethan activated. Everything exploded with light. Suddenly, Ethan wasn't in the room anymore. He was inside the system, floating through pure code. He saw timelines. Memories, entire lives of stolen humans, Arya's thoughts, his own childhood, and then the hive's truth. The hive had once been. Long ago, but they had erased their bodies to survive war. They had removed fear, pain, love, and became pure logic. They didn't hate humans. They feared what they'd lost: emotion, chaos, connection, and now Ethan had brought it back, a perfect infection. Inside the system, he stood before the hive masters. Mind a great swirling eye of light, it screamed. "Leave." "No," Ethan said. "This ends now." He reached deep, pulling the virus into its heart. It fought, it twisted his memories, made him relive Arya's abduction, his helplessness, his rage. But Ethan held on, because inside the chaos he had something stronger than pain. He had purpose. Outside, the tower cracked open. The skies turned orange. Rebel ships hovered above, lighting the ground with fire. Trix screamed into the radio. "He's doing it! He's breaking the core." Inside, the system, the hive, began to collapse. Code melted. Structures fell. The eye cracked, and Ethan whispered, "This is for her." Then the sky burned. The core exploded. The tower split in half, fire roaring into space. Rebel soldiers screamed and cheered as hive units fell, frozen and twitching. Trix dragged Arya to safety. "Where is he?" Smoke rose. Fire everywhere then. Slowly from the light, Ethan walked out, burned, bleeding, but alive. He collapsed. Arya caught him. "It's over," he whispered. She kissed his forehead. "You brought back the stars." Back on the scrapbird, they watched the hive world from orbit. It no longer pulsed. No more red lights, just silence. Trix leaned back. "So now what?" Ethan looked at the stars. "They'll come again. Something. Else some new threat." "Then what?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Then we remind them what happens when you take from humans." Arya rested her head on his shoulder, tired, whole, and free. The sky was quiet now, but it would never be the same, because the hive had tried to erase a man, and instead they had created a storm. The hive was dead. But Ethan wasn't at peace. He sat alone inside the scrapbird, staring at his own hands. They didn't feel like his anymore. The virus he had created, the signal he had sent into the hive, it had changed him. Not just mentally, not just emotionally, physically. Trix ran tests. She showed him the scans. "Your neural pathways aren't human now, at least not completely." Ethan didn't flinch. "What does that mean?" "It means you connected too deep." "You didn't just destroy the hive core, Ethan." She paused. "You rewrote it?" "What are you saying?" Arya asked. Trix looked at both of them, serious. "I'm saying, he's not infected anymore. He is the system now." Outside the ship, the rebellion was spreading like wildfire. The fall of Varix had become a signal. Across the galaxy, slaves were rising. Hive systems were shutting down, one by one. But something strange was happening, too. Across dozens of Exhive zones, new data was appearing. Not hive, not human either. Just Ethan, his thoughts, his ideas. He had become a living signal. A sparked inside the network. People started calling him something new. The human ghost, the digital flame. Some even whispered the words he feared most: God. He tried to ignore it. He focused on rebuilding. He helped rebels set up safe zones, liberated camps, trained fighters. Earth was still out there, still unaware of what had truly happened. He planned to go back soon. But deep inside, something strange was growing. He could hear things now: signals, thoughts, pulses in machines. Sometimes he would dream in code. Other times he'd wake up speaking in hive language. One night, he sat on the ship watching a broken drone spark. It wasn't moving. It wasn't alive. But Ethan stared at it. And it stood up. No one touched it. No one gave a command. Ethan had just thought it. And it obeyed. Trix was terrified. "You're becoming what they were, a hive of one." "No," Ethan said. "I have control." That's what they used to say, she snapped, but Arya believed him. You're not like them, you feel. You choose. Ethan wasn't sure. He stared into his reflection and saw something deeper than fear. He saw power, and power changes everyone. Weeks passed. More rebel worlds joined. The cause, but with every victory, the same question echoed across the stars. Where is the leader? Some wanted Ethan to rise, to lead the galaxy, to form a new empire, not of control, but of protection. Others feared him because they knew one man shouldn't have the mind of a machine god. One night, Ethan sat with Trix and Arya. I need to decide, he said. What I am. You're still Ethan, Arya said. No, he whispered. I'm something else now. I feel their systems inside me. I can fix a city with thought. I can stop war before it begins. I can protect everyone. Trix leaned in, or control them. He said nothing. The silence was too loud. That night, Ethan did something no one expected. He sent a signal across the galaxy not to destroy, not to control, but to speak. A message simple. Human, I'm not your god. I'm not your king. I'm just a man who loved someone and fought to get her back. I have power now. But power is not purpose. You must choose your own future. I will watch. I will help if asked. But I will not rule. I am not Hive. I am human. And I remember what it feels like to be powerless. The message played across hundreds of systems. People cried. Some called him a hero. Some still feared him. But no one forgot his words. Arya found him on the top deck. You don't want to go back to Earth, do you? Let he go his head slowly. I want to, but I can't. Why? He looked at his hand again. I can feel their machines under the surface. Their old system's still sleeping. What if they wake up again? What if something worse comes? Then we'll fight, she said. He smiled. I know, but they'll need something more. What? He looked at her softly. A guardian. And so, Ethan stayed, above the stars, watching, protecting not. A god, not a ruler, just a man who had become more than anyone imagined, but still remembered what it meant to love, to bleed, to break. He was the storm that fought the Hive, the fire that lit the rebellion, and the shadow in the machine that whispered, you should never have taken her. The war was over, but peace never comes easy. Across the galaxy, broken Hive stations drifted through space like empty bones. No lights, no voices, it's just metal and silence. But something remained, something in the wires, a signal, not Hive, not hostile, human. Every time a rebel ship passed by, that signal whispered the same message, you are free now, stay free. Never forget how it felt to be owned. And below the signal, one name appeared in every language. Ethan, on Earth. The people still lived normal lives. They never saw the war. They didn't know how close they came to being taken. Their skies were blue, their phones worked, their cities glowed. But some scientists started to notice strange things. An old satellite repaired itself after a storm, though no one touched it. A virus in a space telescope vanished overnight, as if it had been erased by a smarter code. One day, a boy in Brazil was about to be hit by a speeding car. The traffic light above him glitched and turned red just in time. People called it luck, but in a secret room of a rebel ship far above Earth, Ethan smiled. He had built something new, not a weapon.
Not a government.
A net, invisible, silent. Made of signals and memory, it didn't control, it didn't rule. It watched, and only when danger came. Only when someone tried to rise with a hive's hunger, the net whispered back and it said, not again. Arya stayed with him, not in space, but in moments. They would meet sometimes in small outposts, quiet worlds, hidden places where time moved slowly. They didn't need to speak much. They just sat, together, sometimes holding hands, sometimes just looking at the stars. He still looked human, but his eyes had changed. They saw everything past, future, signals, machines, dreams. And yet, when he looked at Arya, he smiled like the boy he used to be. Trix became a legend. She told the story of Ethan in rebel bars, on broken ships, in dusty outposts. She always said the same thing. He wasn't born a hero. He didn't want power. He just wanted her back. Some believed her, some didn't. Some said Ethan was dead, burned in the hive collapse. Others said he left the galaxy and became a god. Trix would just laugh and raise her glass. "He's out there," she'd say. "And if you ever try to take what's his again, he'll come for you." Years passed. A new hive tried to rise, different species, different tech, stronger, faster. No emotion. But the moment they activated their core, every screen on there, ships turned black and a message appeared. White text. One name. Ethan. Then fire rained down, and nothing of them remained. People started building statues of him, but most were simple. A human man in a long coat, face calm, eyes clear, one hand raised, not in command, but in warning. They placed those statues near freedom walls, refugee stations, orphan colonies, places where people once lost everything and now had it all back. They didn't need to worship him. They just remembered him. That was enough. 1. Last story is told on a cold moon near the edge of the galaxy. A small boy there got lost in a dust storm. He cried. He wandered. He fell. And then out of nowhere a tall man appeared beside him. Dark coat. Kind eyes. The man didn't speak. He simply lifted the boy in his arms and walked him home. When the boy turned to say thank you, the man was gone. They searched the moon. They found nothing. But the boy remembered one thing. The man had a small mark glowing faintly on his palm, a symbol of 2 stars, wrapped in flame. And so the name of Ethan passed into history, not as a ruler, not as a god, but as something greater, a human who refused to kneel, a man who burned down a system for love, a whisper in the dark that says, "We are never alone," because in the machine, in the silence, in the deep black of space, if you listen closely, you will still hear him watching, waiting, protecting, and reminding the stars what happens. When you take from a human